I saw this amazing clapped out Land Rover, and it was like when you see an old friend. And it was love at first sight. I guess it's just so entwined with my history. This Land Rover is just tangled up with all my childhood memories and my whole chapter of my life with Dan. I sort of keep it in a little box hidden away. With this Land Rover, I can kind of peek into it and pick out, dust off old memories. I had this magical brother who was my constant companion and who teased me mercilessly, but was this really amazing being. I worshipped him. We went on all kinds of adventures. I do think I was always the voice of reason and the sensible one, and he was always trying to slap that out of me and trying to push me to be less boring. And I felt like when I was with him, I was special. Anywhere I went felt like a wonderful ride. And I definitely miss that. When I was 19, he was killed and just the bottom dropped out. And I really couldn't imagine ever being happy again. I thought, boy, I need a safer life, and so I sort of pulled in and made sure that I had more of a protective covering around me so that could never happen to me. When I was pregnant with my first child, they gave me the due date, and it was actually Dan's birthday. And for me, that was one of those fleeting moments where I felt that he's still very much with me and felt very at peace. But I also felt that I can't really do what Dan did. He was just innately so bold and so fearless. And so in that moment, I realized that that's something that I had to bring back myself, that I had to somehow reconstruct, even if you fake it till you make it. It's about taking those pauses to make sure that I'm creating the life of my choice and knowing that I can recreate my life, that I'm not stuck in any one pattern. And sometimes it takes a silly Land Rover or something to remind you that you're in charge and you can change your course. There's always this little voice inside me, this irritating voice of my brother pushing me and saying, are you living your best life? Are you enjoying this ride? Are you being too sensible? Are you being boring? Because those words were not in his vocabulary. And I want my kids to have that influence. And I don't have Uncle Dan to take them on these incredible adventures, to pile them in the back of his Land Rover and take them off and get their hands dirty. So now it is incumbent on me to make that happen. Arabella was named after one of Dan's Land Rovers. At some level, she has some sense of Dan's spirit. He magnified the good in other people. And I already see Arabella, just the way she interacts with people, that ready smile. There's so much of Dan there. I'm sort of petrified because having grieved and lost somebody that I loved so much, I never want to do that again. So there's a part of me that is just holding so tightly onto these kids and trying to protect them, and then another part of me that knows that I have to let go, just as my parents did. When I saw this car, it really reminded me of my life as an adventure seeker. Dan was always driving the car and I was always shotgun. And now that I'm a mother and so much of my life is kind of based in doing mundane things, picking up at soccer and dropping at ballet, I need to infuse my life with a sense of that adventure again. I want them to see me get something that is pushing me beyond my comfort zone, something that Dan would say, it's gonna be hard, you're not really gonna know how to drive this thing, but at some point you just have to laugh and get on with it. All just hanging on for dear life, trying to forge our way, trying to find our path. It's funny to think that now he's my shotgun and I'm in the front seat and I'm forging the way, and he's still very much there though, saying, take that right, tree ahead, fort, careful, river. I do still feel at some level he must be there.